For Red Dirt D&D, I'm Michael Cross. I recently did an interview for the Okie Geek podcast on TokenCon. I figured since Red Dirt D&D is taking part in this year's premier board game convention in OKC, I might as well put it here as a bonus episode. You can join us for D&D trivia on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, a panel discussion on how to run a successful RPG at 5:30 on Saturday, and meet the cast of Red Dirt D&D on Sunday at 2 p.m. Now, on with the show. The Okie Geek podcast is brought to you by Okie Comics, an anthology publication showcasing the talents of Oklahoma creators with stories featuring Oklahoma. Copies are available at Got Games in Del City, Green Bambino, Paseo Plunge, and My Chic Geek in Oklahoma City, and Waving Wheat Bakery and Bistro in Norman, as well as your favorite comic book store and nearest library. You can find out more locations and more information at okiecomics.com. Greetings and salutations, my fellow geeks, and welcome to episode 292 of the Okie Geek podcast, brought to you by Okie Comics. I'm Michael Cross. The premier board gaming convention, TokenCon, is returning to Oklahoma City. The event takes place March 17th through the 19th at the Embassy Suites by Hilton, just north of Will Rogers World Airport on Meridian. Here to talk about TokenCon is organizer and friend of the show, Mike Dadalow. Mike, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Michael. I'm excited to talk about TokenCon.
I know. I'm excited to hear about it. So for those who don't know, you can check out past episodes if you want. But right now, tell us, what is TokenCon?
So TokenCon is a board game-focused convention. And the star of our show, I would say, is our library. We have a library of 800 games. A little over 800, actually, 100 of which were released just in this past year, and 70, or actually over 70, of which we actually give away. So we have a huge play-to-win section, and everyone who plays those games is entered to win, and then we randomly pick someone who played each of those games, and at the end of the con, we give away 70-plus games. So yeah, that's the big star of the show. But besides that, we have, of course, panels. We have a couple dozen exhibitors. We have our D&D Adventurers League and all kinds of special events and things like that, too. So it's a really, really big, really cool 3-day experience.
Has that library grown? I think I remember it was only like 600 last year. Was that about right?
Yeah, it's grown. It's grown every year, and I think it's improved every year too. We try really hard to get the best games and the games that are new and really popular as well, and games that people might find hard to find or prohibitively expensive to buy. So we try to have a lot of stuff that people would like to play that they may not ever get a chance to otherwise.
You know, I think that's the harshest thing is sometimes you see a game and it might cost 50 to 70 bucks. And it's like, well, I like it. Looks good on the cover. It's got a great cover. It's got a great, description on the back. But playing it is the real test. And so this gives them a chance to maybe try it before they buy it or potentially win it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And then we have, of course, our hot game section too, which is some of the hottest and latest games that are out, where we have those all set up and ready to go. People who've been practicing them and learning them over the last couple of weeks, so they're ready to stand by and help teach and show people how to play. So yeah, lots of opportunities to play games.
And how does the try it and win it type, how does that work?
So you're automatically entered when you check the game out from the library, and you can also give the library people the names of other people that are playing to make sure they're entered as well. And then on Sunday at the end of the con, we'll just post a list of everybody who's won. And if you're not there on Sunday, we'll email you and arrange a way for you to pick it up. So, yeah.
Will this also have game creators there who are showcasing some of their works?
Yeah, we've actually really expanded that area this year, and I'm excited about that. We have a whole big room that we're calling our Indie Zone.
Oh, cool.
And we have some designers that are here that have worked on their games. We have actually designers from as far away as Oregon coming down, independent designers who are working on games that are either launching on Kickstarter or are already on Kickstarter, and they're bringing their games to sell, to demo, and also prototypes that they're working on that people can try and test. And then after they test those games, they can leave anonymous feedback for the games with little forms, and we're giving prizes to people for doing that too. We have giveaways and things like that, games that we're giving random people who leave feedback. So hopefully encourage people to try those. It helps the designers because they get feedback, but then everybody who plays them gets to try something that might be a hot new game in a year or two.
Right.
And also maybe win some prizes for it. So
Now, the board game community, playing board games themselves was pretty hot. It was starting to get hot all the way up to the pandemic. Then the pandemic hit, and that was pretty much the only thing to do at home. So everyone bought all these board games. But has the interest waned at all since the pandemic has kind of slowed down, or is it still as strong as it ever was?
it's probably as strong as it ever was. There was definitely a period there where there was a struggle, where people, I think, couldn't decide what they wanted to do as far as if they wanted to go out and be in big groups.
Mm-hmm.
But what we saw in that time period, which is interesting, was solo board gaming became a thing, and or more of a thing. It's always been a thing, but nowadays it seems like almost every board game has a solo mode. And in fact, we have a panel that I think is really interesting called "Why Not Just Play a Video Game." A case for solo board gaming. So I think that's going to be really interesting, talking about board games for one, basically, which, as I said, probably because of COVID, has become a really big thing. So that'll be interesting.
So I don't want you to give away the whole panel, but why play a board game rather than a video game?
Well, I tell you what, that is a good question that I don't know the answer to. It's a good thing I'm not giving the panel, because I'm in that camp of if I'm going to play a board game, the only time I play a solo board game is to learn a game. But I know there are people who love to play solo board games, and I think that's what this panel is going to talk about, is why that might be something that you enjoy.
Right, and I know that two player games have also been really big because of the pandemic, when you just had maybe a husband and wife, or a son and father, or son and daughter. That only two people could play these games, so there's been an increase of those as well.
Yeah, there has, and we have some of those, like Splendor Duel is a new 2-player version of Splendor that's specifically out recently that we have in our library, and Beer and Bread is another game that came out really recently that's a 2-player exclusive game, and so that's in our library too. So you're right, there is a lot more of those, I think.
So what are some of the new exciting hot games that people can play there?
Yeah, so one of the newest games that's been really popular that we've seen up in the top 10 on the Board Game Geek hotness charts for a long time is Heat Pedal to the Metal. And it's a racing themed board game, and it's card driven. So essentially every turn you get to change gears, and whatever gear you're in is how many cards you get to play. And the cards have a value that moves you forward. So it's very thematic feeling, actually. And as you execute your maneuvers, you can accumulate heat in your engine to play more cards, to go faster. But if you get too hot, or if you spin around a curve too fast, you can overheat, and that can cause you some problems. So it's a really neat game that really kind of feels like a race, and it can play up to 6 people, which is neat. And it comes with multiple tracks for different countries. So we'll have that on the hot games table, and I think that'll be pretty neat.
Sounds like a really cool version of Milliboards. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really neat game. I actually really enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. We also have Flamecraft, which has been really popular lately. It's got these really cute dragon miniatures, and these little dragons have a little town, and they're visiting shops and getting a bunch of really nice resources that they're turning into points eventually. So it's a really neat game too. But there's so many. There's so many games that come out now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how popular and how many games there are, and how many good games there are coming out all the time.
Yeah, and it's like we talk about, you don't necessarily want to spend the money on a brand new game. Sometimes you just can't spend all the money on all the games. So this gives you an opportunity to play those games that you might not even think about.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that any one person could keep up. And even for us, and we try, and we have the library is made up of a lot of donations
Hmm.
from different people. We have the board game community, which has its own library, but then several stores like Common Space and Edmund Unplugged provide a good chunk of 100 games each from their libraries. And then we have several individuals who donate their games to be played, which is really nice. And we have little stickers on the games that let people know who provided those games and everything like that. But that definitely makes our library better, is the fact that people are willing to provide them for others.
Along with the board games, you do have some role playing games out there. Talk to me about those.
Yeah, so we have an extensive Dungeons and Dragons Adventurers League set up
Mhm.
this year, which I'm really excited about. All our D&D is going to be in D&D AL, which if people haven't done that before, it's really neat because you can take your character and you can play them at any Adventurers League game anywhere
Mhm.
that is happening, as long as they're the right level for the game. So we have a lot of tier one games, which are beginner friendly because we have a lot of beginners at TokenCon usually. And the nice thing about those is we have pre-generated characters that are ready for all of those games. So what's cool is you can come, you can pick one of these characters and kind of, create your own backstory for them and everything like that, and jump into a game. But then after you finish that game, you can keep that character and you can take them and then you can level them up over months and years
Mhm.
at any kind of event where you see Dungeons and Dragons Adventurers League, and they can carry their experience on from game to game and level up, and so you can really grow attached to a character.
Yeah.
So that's something where you can bring that you can bring your own character to TokenCon, or you can use some of the ones that we'll have handy for you. So I'm real excited about that. I think that's really neat.
And of course, no convention would be the same without vendors. And tell me about some of the vendors you guys have going on.
Yeah, so we have some really cool vendors today. Besides the indie zone where we have all the indies that we talked about, we have just a really, I think, the most diverse group of vendors that we've ever had this year. So we have some exhibitors like Red Dirt D&D, of
Mhm.
course, who's there and you'll be able to meet the cast there and learn about that if you haven't heard the show yet. And then we've got Oklahoma Mahjong, which is there, and they were there last year, but only for part of the con. They're going to be there here the whole time, and they have, if you've never seen it, it's amazing, and they'll have it in the exhibitor hall, an auto table, which what it does is it basically takes all the mahjong tiles and shuffles them all up itself, and then spits them out into these nice little rows,
Oh my
deals them out
gosh.
to everybody, and then automatically like pops up your row of tiles right in front of you. I mean, it's incredibly cool to watch.
Wow.
So even if you've never played Mahjong before, which I actually haven't, I was hoping to try it last year, didn't get to, hoping to this year. It's just neat to see the table in
Mhm.
action and learn how that goes. So they'll be there. Another one that we have that's new this year is Bearded Rat Mysteries, and that's a really cool. What she does is she writes murder mysteries
Mhm.
that you kind of like role playing type things where you are playing a character in this mystery, and so she writes those mysteries and sells those. And she's also running an event at TokenCon where it is a murder mystery. So we'll have
Oh,
30
cool.
people in there doing a murder mystery at TokenCon. So I'm excited about that too. That sounds like it'll be really fun.
That's going to be
But yeah, then
amazing.
we have, of course, a lot of we have Game HQ, who's our presenting
Mhm.
sponsor, and they'll be there with a really big booth this year, trying to sell lots of, or they'll have all kinds of board
Mhm.
games and also D&D miniatures and dice and accessories, kind of a little a little compliment to show all the different things that they have in their store. And then we've got all kinds of board game accessories. We've got people selling costumes. We've got jewelry. We've got board game related Christmas ornaments. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of things.
That is so much fun. And do you got some other events I'm guessing going on as well?
Yeah, yeah. We kind of talked about the indies, and one reason we are excited about the indie zone this year is we have Jay Cormier coming, and he's a board game publisher and designer. He's done a lot of popular games. Junk Art was kind of one of the ones he's done that was really popular. It was a stacking game, but he's done just a whole like variety of of games, but he also publishes games as well. And Mind Management is one of the more popular games that he's published, one of his most recent games. But he's going to do a couple cool events. He's doing an event called Pitch Tank, which is like Shark Tank,
Like,
if you're
yes.
familiar with Shark Tank. And so what it is he's going to have board game designers, some of those indies who are there are going to pitch their board game. And he's going to then review it kind of Shark Tank style and give them feedback, not so much on the game itself, but on their pitch, on their presentation, and then give some advice and feedback for how to pitch to designers and then or to publishers, and then he'll give everybody he'll pick a game of the session for that from that. So that's pretty cool. We have a game jam, which is something where we're going to give everybody a bunch of components, and then using this journal called the Fail Faster Journal that Jay produces. What it is it gives people prompts where essentially they're going to roll a dice to get a theme or choose a theme, and then they'll have to choose a mechanic and some things like that. Get some prompts and directions to go, and then you'll create a board game with the components you're given along the lines of these prompts, and you'll do that in a few hours. You could do that alone or in a team, and then we'll give you opportunities to actually play test that game at TokenCon. So
awesome.
it's kind of a really, really neat experience. I think that'll be really, just a lot of fun. I would love to see that in action and see how that goes. So, and then one other cool thing we have this year is our gamer and training stuff. So last year we moved TokenCon to spring break, and we noticed that with that move, it allowed a lot more families to come than had in the past because kids were off of school and stuff like that. So we specifically added some gamer and training events, which was what we're calling our events for younger gamers. So we actually have a library of games that are suitable for younger kids that's separate from our main library that doesn't have to be checked out, since a lot of those games are short and quick, and you might, kids' attention spans might not be as long. You can grab a game off the shelf, play it, put it back, grab another one. No need to even check it out. So we have that little library there. And then we have some other stuff that the kids can do. We'll have werewolf games specifically for kids and families. We have a Pokemon event for kids to come and learn Pokemon, and they get a deck that they can take home, and then they can trade cards if they want to. So stuff like that. We have just some stuff that's geared toward kids being able to have a great time as well, and hopefully start the process of turning them into gamers.
Yeah, well, kids have always, it's always fun to kind of watch kids play board games. They tend to enjoy it, but this kind of gives them a chance to show that this is something you can take with you as you move into adulthood.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and hopefully they can find friends that are their age that they'll meet there, that they can play games with, and I think just that opportunity to kind of see a whole bunch of games that are age appropriate that they can play with their family as well, and also with other kids. I know one of the biggest highlights of my gaming life that I can remember is the first time my son, when he was like 7 years old, taught a board game to another kid and played it with him. I just loved watching that. So I'm hoping that we'll give kids an opportunity to be a part of stuff like that. And in fact, our Pokemon event, it's kids. We have an 11-year-old and a 14-year-old kid who are actually running with supervision, but they're running that event. They'll be teaching other kids how to play Pokemon. So Pokemon for kids by kids. So I think that's really neat.
And I know there's a special price. I want to get into the pricing in just a moment, but first off, there is a special price for the board gamers in training.
Yes. Yeah. There's a discounted price for the board gamers in training. And that way, if they're between the ages of, I think it's 8 and 14 is what the pricing is on that. They can get a discounted badge, but then we also have anyone younger than that doesn't have to pay at all. But yeah, the gamer and training badges, I actually don't double check. They're only $30, and they cover the entire 3 days. So and they're just as good as an adult badge. They do everything an adult badge can do.
So what are the prices for the event for each day and then for the full thing?
Sure. Yeah. So we started with single day badges that on Friday and Sunday are $25, and they're $35 on Saturday. And then we have a full weekend badge that's $49 that covers all 3 days. And that's what most people do, is attend all 3 days. But then all those prices are the advanced price. So they do go up by $5 to $10 at the door if you're waiting until then. But they'll be available online for that price all the way up until midnight the day before the convention. So anytime up through the end of March 16th, you can get the discounted badges.
Yeah, don't
And
wait.
of course,
$49 for a
yeah,
fantastic price for
yeah,
the entire weekend.
it covers it's so much. There's so many activities, and it gives you. I mean, we give everybody who attends. We give them a board game. We give them a really nice cloth bag to carry stuff in. We give them, a nice badge that they can keep. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that that you get just for attending, and then of course we have prizes that we give away at various events throughout the convention. So, yeah.
Is this the fourth event? Is this the fourth one or the fifth
This
one?
is.
Okay,
Yep.
fourth one.
Yeah, it's our fourth year. So
it goes back to
hard to believe.
2018, but we had to lose a year because of COVID.
Yeah, we lost kind of a year and a half there, but it gave us the opportunity to switch to spring, which I think has worked out really well, again, because of the spring break thing. So yeah, I think it was hard missing that year, but it's been great. It's been great being in March.
Plus, it felt like last year when you guys returned to the spring of 2022, it felt like, okay, this is the beginning of the convention season. It was a good kickoff to 2022 Oklahoma convention season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then you running through the summer, and there's just convention after convention after convention. It's great. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So and I know the hours. I looked at the hours recently. The hours actually are longer than they were last year.
They are.
Talk to me about those.
They are. Yeah. We start at 10 a.m. on Friday, and then it runs really until whenever you're done. The ballroom officially runs until 1 a.m. So you can play games in there till real late if you want to. And then opens up again 9 a.m. on Saturday, and again runs through the night. And then Sunday it starts at 9 and ends at 6. So there's a lot of gaming time in there.
My wife was talking about how is it going all the way to 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, well, with most conventions, they usually end and then they have some kind of an after hours event. But it's a gaming convention, and there you want to just sit down and play, and you might start playing a game at 11 o'clock at night. And you want time to be able to play the whole game.
Yeah, and you certainly do. We certainly do have people. In fact, I know last year, despite the official hours, we had people in there till 2 or 3 in the morning, often, like a few groups just hardcore playing everything they could in that time, And we do let people if you're staying at the hotel, you can check out games and take them back to your hotel room if you check them out toward the end of the library. The library closes at 10. So if you don't finish a game and you want to bring it back to your room and finish it there, you can do that too.
That's fantastic. So, how many people are we expecting? I know we've been growing every year. How are we doing? How are we expecting this year to go?
So we're expecting about 600 people. We had a little over 500 last year. So we had to expand the area in the hotel that we are using. So we're actually using every possible space that they have now, or every single room that they have in the hotel. But yeah, we're expecting about 600 people this year. So it'll be our biggest ever, and it'll be twice as big as it was in 2018. So it's grown a lot.
Yeah, it's an amazing, like I said, it's an amazing way to kick off the convention year, and a great way to play some games that you might never ever get to play, and spend time with other people who are really passionate about board games.
Yeah, and that's the TokenCon's run by the Oklahoma board game community, and of course we do all our meetups all over the place, and that's always what we've been about. More than anything is about bringing people together, and board games are a great way to do that because they are something that anyone can enjoy and something that gives you a built-in activity to talk about. And we want people to have a good time, and we want people to meet other people, and it's a really friendly convention, and we try real hard to make sure everyone feels welcome and feels like they have something to do and something to be a part of. So
anything else you want to make sure to mention about TokenCon that we haven't gone over?
I think we covered it really well.
Good deal. Yeah, it's so exciting. And I know that Red Dirt D&D, of course, we're going to be there. We're going to have our own table. We're going to have some panels. We're going to have Red Dirt D&D trivia on Friday afternoonish. It's 4 o'clock, so I didn't want to say Friday night. But hey, and we've got some prizes for that, so it's going to be just a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Just the entire weekend of just playing games. I mean, what else could you ask for? That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a wonderful time.
And where can people find more information about TokenCon?
So best place is just to go to tokencon.net and you'll find the schedule there. You'll find the game library. You'll find places to sign up for events and buy your badges. So tokencon.net.
And on Facebook, you guys are also have a presence there as
We
well.
are. Yep. You can look up TokenCon on Facebook as well.
Fantastic. Mike, thank you so much. And we will look forward to seeing you on March 17th.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
So that's going to do it for our show. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Okie Geek Podcast. That's also the address for our Gmail account. Would love to hear from you. You can find me on Twitter at KOSU Michael C. And do you or someone you know have an event coming up? Please let us know so we can talk about it on our show. You can also find us on Stitcher and Apple Podcasts. Be sure and subscribe, rate us, and leave a comment. Until next time, along with Mike Dadalow, I'm Michael Cross, reminding you to keep calm and geek on.